Anyway, on a lighter note, um, speaking of, I can't even work shooting into anything here. I don't know. I was trying to figure out a way to get into that. There is no good
You
segue.
really left yourself on a ledge there with
Yeah, it's hard to come back to that. So who is doing some shooting as a guest host of Jeopardy? How about that? That's not so bad.
Hey, nicely
Yeah.
done.
Okay. So the Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers is hosting Jeopardy this week. So they're doing various guest hosts, as most of us know if you're a remote fan of the show, since the passing of the great Alex Trebek late last year, and they're trying to figure out who's going to get the long-term gigs. I did not know this, but apparently Aaron Rodgers has been a huge fan of Jeopardy for quite some time. So I haven't watched an episode yet. I saw some clips. I mean, he looks good. I mean, he seemed to read well from what I saw. So, are you a Jeopardy fan, Nick? Do you care about any of this? What do you think about Aaron Rodgers? Or do you have any opinion there, or not so much?
Jeopardy in general was like, so when I used to come to my grandparents' house when I was a kid,
Hmm.
every night at dinner time they had one of the little TVs that would hang on the bottom of the cabinet there, and then we would
Hmm.
sit, around there. Like, it was the coolest thing at the time to be able to watch TV at the
Yeah,
dinner table, like at
sure.
in a dinner table setting. So it was always Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy.
Yep.
So as a kid, Jeopardy was definitely the lamer of the two. It was like, it's just the questions and the whatever, and it was
Hard. Yeah.
a lot of trivia, history things, and I was
Hmm.
just like, whatever, a lot of ground to cover. So I wasn't really much of a fan. Like, now, it's one of those things, like, when you get older, like, I enjoy an episode of Jeopardy.
Yeah.
It's not like I gotta see it. It's nothing like that, but it's interesting to watch and play along with and see if you can guess it, I guess.
Yeah.
So as far as like who is the next host, I don't know that I really care.
Yeah.
I mean, are they just doing this to see, like, is this like a superhero bracket for Jeopardy hosts? Are they like, is this
I
their trial week for everybody, and then one of these will definitely be the one, or is it like, let's just keep jumping from whatever celebrity we can get and see if any of them really like stick?
I don't honestly. I'm not sure. I think it's just it might be to maybe get through the current season because
Okay,
certainly you're. I mean, unfortunately, I'm sure you know poor Alex at the time was not going to be able to do it a whole lot longer. So
right.
I'm sure they were planning ahead, but they weren't prepared to do full blown, probably trials or whatever or auditions. I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I would assume that one of these guest hosts may wind up with an offer. I'm sure, and if he or she accepts it, then here you go. I mean, a lot of people say the odds are it'll be like Ken Jennings, who was the long-time champion of the show. He seemed to do a very good job. Certainly, he knows that he was on it for quite an extended period of time when he was
Right.
there. So he
See, I
seemed to
like that
fit in.
idea because at
Hmm.
least it's somebody that, I mean, does Aaron Rodgers need extra money to do Jeopardy? Like, he's a pro
I
quarterback. You know what I mean? I get the appeal
sure.
of having celebrities that but that's kind of cool. Like, what about that guy? Like, that's a cool
I
gig.
Yeah. I mean, you got to. I mean, certainly you're. I mean, Alex Trebek did that show for what 30 plus years. So, I mean, if I'm, to his credit, I mean, hey, a young guy. He's certainly a well-known athlete. You could bring in a younger audience, maybe a different type of audience. He's not going to hurt bringing in the lady viewing, certainly,
Right.
and other athletes certainly have made that transition into television and done, very, very well. Michael Strahan. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
never would have thought in 1,000 years he would have went on the Today Show for crying out loud and done well there. Why
Yeah.
not? So
He's full
you got
on
to have a
like
gig.
celebrity in his own right now in a different
Sure,
way. Like, as a just as like I don't know if entertainer is the right word, because he's just
sure he
kind of a
is.
talk show personality.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it is crazy to think about like that. My second, although, if I were to make a different pick for the host, I think Daryl Hammond as Sean Connery would be a good host of Jeopardy.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Once again, please refrain from using ethnic slurs. That said, let's take a look at the score. $1,000.
You think you're pretty smart, don't you, Trebek? What with your dago mustache and your greasy hair?
Look, what did I just say about ethnic slurs?
At least
They should at least give that a week.
Man,
He deserves a week at that.
What about Will Ferrell as Alex Trebek?
As Alex Trebek, I kind of
with Daryl Hammond doing a cameo as Sean. How great would that be?
Definitely.
You know,
that would be cool just for that. I initially thought that. I'm like, oh, you could have like Will, but I'm like, that might be disrespectful to like have Will Ferrell play Alex Trebek. Not that it was never poking fun at Alex Trebek.
No, Trebek was on the show once. He came out to while Will Ferrell was imitating him. It was I like
that would be
great.
Interesting. Yeah,
that would be great. But the Daryl Hammond, that's a great idea. Or how about Norm Macdonald as Burt Reynolds, like the 70s Burt Reynolds? I like that too. Turd Ferguson.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, Turd Ferguson.
Turd Ferguson. It's a funny name.
It says here when you were 4 months old, Burt Reynolds, or was it Turd Ferguson was holding you at some point?
It's funny.
Yeah, chewing the gum. I love those. That's a great idea. I like they should at least do it as like I said, as at least a clip.
My all-time favorite line from that was from so the bit was Daryl Hammond as Sean Connery. He was always on every episode.
Yeah.
Sean Connery was there and would give the most ridiculous answers and mispronounce all the categories. And he said, "I'll take anal bum cover for 500." And then Trebek goes, "That's an album cover." Anal bum cover is one of my favorites. Yes.
Yep. Those are great. Yeah. I think my favorite category is your ass or a hole in the ground. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm Aaron Rodgers. Why not? I mean, you gotta have a gig outside of football. You can't play football forever. And
he's still active though, right?
Yes.
He's not retiring. It was Drew Brees that just retired.
Drew Brees just retired. That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
But Rodgers probably has a few more years left. I mean, he's on the back nine for sure.
Yeah, he was MVP last year. They got knocked out of the playoffs, kind of surprisingly. But and I think he's got 1 year left on his contract with the Packers. He's not too thrilled with the direction they're going. They did draft a young quarterback 2 seasons ago, certainly to back him up and to set up the future. So. You never know. I mean, he could in theory play one more season and say, "I'm out of here" if they don't do well. I don't know. So it's interesting. So hey, more power to you, Aaron Rodgers, and the fact that he's a fan. Good.